So last night, Donald Trump held a town hall on Fox News. He was asked about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. The answer that he gave, I mean, it's so eye-opening. It's really incredible. It's a lot of the stuff that we're saying. So I'm going to show you the clip. I'm going to show you what Donald Trump said, and then we're going to discuss. Get ready.
So you want to face Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders? That's my question.
I'll tell you, I was all set for Bernie because I thought it was going to happen. You know, we get ready for things, right? So mentally, I'm all set for Bernie. Communist, I had everything down. He's a communist. I was all set. And then we have this crazy thing that happened, right, on Tuesday, which he thought was Thursday. But he also said 150 million people were killed with guns, and he was running for the United States Senate. Support me, I'm running for the United States. There's something going on there. But I was all set. I was all set. And, you know, when I focus and we all focus, sometimes you do well and some people choke. I watched Mini Mike choke. When Mini Mike was hit by a very mean woman, he said, "Get me off this stage, just get me off." And that wasn't a pretty sight to be. But I was all set to take on Bernie. I was ready. And then all of a sudden I say, guess what? I went to the First Lady, who people love. I go into the First Lady. And I said, he just won Texas. He just won, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, so close. It was a whole different thing because of her. So now I'm ready for Bernie. And now all of a sudden I have a whole different, you know, it's a whole different deal. Two very different people. I think in a certain way, Bernie would be tougher because he's got a base. It's a much smaller base than my base. I think a lot of my people are here because, and I did nothing to do that, but we have a lot of support in Pennsylvania. And I think we have a lot of support everywhere. Look at the rallies. Look at the rallies. But I was all set. I was all set for Bernie. I was ready to go. And then I say, you know, I don't think I'm running against Bernie. I think it's going to be very hard for him to come back.
Look, man, look. For all his faults, Donald Trump is a comedian. Okay, I'm sorry, but the guy is funny. Like, he's occupying oil fields in my country. Okay, he's committing economic terrorism against my country. But regardless, the guy is funny. And the things he's saying about Joe Biden, there's something going on there. He's basically making fun of his dementia. Is a fact. It's reality. Like, there's no point in denying it anymore, even though Neera Tanden would like to believe that, you know, Joe Biden is mentally okay. He's not. And Donald Trump cited some examples, like Super Thursday. And the guy saying he's running for Senate. I mean, this is really bad. Just think how bad the neoliberal establishment wants to stop Bernie Sanders, that they're propping up someone with dementia. So that's one thing. Okay, he made fun of Joe Biden. Anyone can do that. But the big takeaway here, he knows that running against Bernie is tougher. He was ready for Bernie. Even Trump is saying it to you. Bernie Sanders has a base. He admits it. This is stuff that you and I know, that the neoliberal establishment knows, but they don't want to admit it. Donald Trump, he is telling you Bernie Sanders is a real contender with a base, who has grassroots support, who is an actual threat, someone to be reckoned with. Unlike Joe Biden, who has no grassroots support, who has no movement, who needed all the Democratic establishment to fall in line behind him to prop him up. Donald Trump is not stupid. Okay, he knows that Bernie Sanders could actually take him out of office. He knows that he could lose to Bernie Sanders. But now, I guess he's pleasantly surprised that the person he has to run against is Joe Biden, who's an old fart, who doesn't even know what he's running for. If you think this is bad, wait till Donald Trump mops the floor with Joe Biden in a debate. He already brought up Hunter Biden right there, okay? He already brought up one scandal. Don't worry, there's more coming. But he already brought up one thing. And this is going to be Hillary Clinton 2016 all over again. With the emails, talking about Benghazi, talking about the trade deals, talking about the Iraq war. He is going to take Joe Biden's record and he's going to clobber him over the head with it. He is. Make no mistake. Donald Trump, of all people, is telling you, he's admitting to you that Bernie Sanders is harder to beat. He's telling you that Bernie Sanders is real competition. But no. The neoliberals want you to think that Joe Biden is the only one who can beat Donald Trump. What an absolute joke. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth, man. Now, Donald Trump is not a better person than Joe Biden, but he's a better showman. He's louder, and he knows how to make people laugh. He knows how to put on a show. He knows how to dominate.
And meanwhile, Joe Biden can't even construct a coherent sentence.
He will demolish Joe Biden. With Bernie Sanders, he can't do that because, I mean, there's nothing. He literally just told you. You saw right there for a moment that communist is all he had. Like, yeah, what else? He didn't even know what else to say. That's the only smear that they've got against Bernie Sanders. That's often what we see, right? The Democrat side, they're like, oh, is running a socialist viable? Yeah, okay, McCarthy. So this tells you everything you need to know. But we're not done. We're not done. He goes on to talk a bit more and reveals some more truths about Joe Biden. Take a look.
You know, I made a deal, and then I made the USMCA deal with Canada and Mexico, replacing the worst deal, which was made by the way, which was made by Joe. Okay, I didn't want to say Sleepy Joe because I want to be respected. I want to respect him.
But you got it.
He looks like he's going to be a candidate, and I just say, how did that happen? So, but no, Joe Biden, in all fairness, Joe Biden made a deal. NAFTA, he approved it. He was pushing it. It's the worst trade deal ever made. We're terminating NAFTA. We have the USMCA. If you look at what happened between China and Mexico and Canada, what they were doing to this country, how they were taking advantage of us, Canada was charging us 300% tariffs. Now we have it really in good shape.
So what did he talk about right there? What did he bring up? NAFTA. What did he do in 2016 to Hillary Clinton? He brought up NAFTA. Do you remember how savage that was? Do you remember?
Been a Secretary of State, and I have
Your husband signed NAFTA, which was one of the worst things that ever happened to the manufacturing industry. That
is your opinion.
You go to New England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Clinton, and you will see devastation where manufacturing is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country. And now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. You were totally in favor of it. Then you heard what I was saying, how bad it is, and you said, I can't win that debate. But you know that if you did win, you would approve that, and that will be almost as bad as NAFTA. Nothing will ever top NAFTA.
That is just not accurate.
Make no mistake, Donald Trump didn't just steamroll the entire Republican field when he was doing the primary. He steamrolled Hillary Clinton, and NAFTA was a big subject. So we already have two things here that he's brought up that he's going to use against Joe Biden, and he isn't even running against Biden yet. All right? These are telltale signs of what's to come. The neoliberals are burying their heads in the sand and pretending like, oh, Joe Biden is easily going to beat Trump. No, he's not. Where's this town hall taking place right now? Scranton, Pennsylvania. Okay, that's where the office is, but that's also where Joe Biden is from. This is the Rust Belt. This is the manufacturing belt. This is where you need to win. These are the battleground states. And by the way, if you watch the whole town hall, they interviewed exactly the people that every campaign wants on their side. The two-time Obama voters who switched to Trump in 2016. These are the people that are crucial to winning the election. And Donald Trump knows how to win them over. What does he do? He brings up NAFTA. Why? Because NAFTA demolished, decimated these places. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, they all suffered terribly from NAFTA. Who worked on NAFTA? Who voted for NAFTA? Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. With the workers there, what they remember is growing up in the 90s and seeing their parents, their father come home fired from work, their cities crumbling, people leaving. That's what they remember. That's what they have ingrained in their memories growing up. And Donald Trump knows how to play on that. And even if Donald Trump is crafting terrible trade deals himself, which are very similar to NAFTA, he's much better at being able to frame the narrative as Joe Biden is the evil one. Hillary Clinton is the evil one. They're responsible for your misery and demise. This guy is an excellent showman. And the one person he can't use this against is Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders voted against NAFTA, voted against the TPP. Bernie Sanders voted against permanent normal trade relations with China. You can't touch him. You can't touch him. All right, because what Donald Trump is doing when he goes against Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, he's attacking them from the left. He makes them look like Republicans. He plays the populist, right? He's the fake populist. And he does it so well. He attacks them from the left so well that he even ends up rallying Democrats, just like we saw these two-time Obama voters who switched to him. I mean, it's really genius. And the one person that doesn't work against is Bernie Sanders. Like, Bernie Sanders, his record is Teflon. It's Teflon. You can't touch it. Like, there's nothing. You want to talk about the Iraq War? He didn't vote for it. The trade deals? He didn't vote for him. You want to talk about cutting Social Security? He didn't vote for that. He didn't support that. Corruption? There is none. Charisma and all this stuff. It's really, really difficult to use Bernie Sanders' record against him. Donald Trump, I mean, short of a miracle, is not going to fare well in a debate against Bernie. But against Joe Biden, he's already showing you here that it's going to be a massacre. I mean, just go on Twitter and look at the posts that he does. I mean, the guy is a troll, and people will enjoy the show. People vote based on emotions, more than on policy, unfortunately. And Donald Trump knows how to play on their emotions. We saw that in 2016. Hillary Clinton is a much better debater. She is much more astute and on point than most politicians. She's like a snake. I mean, she's fast. She's quick on her feet. She knows what she's doing. She's very cunning and smart. Make no mistake. Don't underestimate her. She won the popular vote in the end, right? But if she lost against Donald Trump, if Donald Trump steamrolled her in 3 debates, what do you think is going to happen to Joe Biden, who is not just way less charismatic, but has, you know, there's something going on there, as Donald Trump said. I mean, oh boy, this is really bad. Even if you had Joe Biden from like 10 years ago, where he was quite sharp, still, I think Donald Trump would have clobbered him, just like he clobbered Hillary Clinton, because their records are so bad. He is going to attack them from the left and make them look like Republicans and the source and the root of all evil for the average American. So I can't say this enough. We all know this. If you want to beat Donald Trump, you have to run Bernie Sanders, because the guy's record is really hard to attack. There's almost nothing there. He will beat Donald Trump. He can stand up to him. Of course, we know this. I mean, Donald Trump just told you right now, Bernie would have been harder to beat. We have audio that leaked where he said, I'm glad that Hillary Clinton didn't put Bernie Sanders as her VP because he's better than me on trade. I did a video about this just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I think a big part of our vice president would have been tougher. But I think Bernie, you know, because all those people that hated her so much who voted for me, you know, I got 20% of Bernie vote. People don't realize that because of trade, because he's a big trade guy. You know, he basically says we're getting screwed on trade, and he's right. I'm worse than he is, and we can do something about it. I don't know if he could have, but had she picked Bernie Sanders, it would have been tougher. It was the only one I didn't want her to pick.
That's a bombshell in itself. Donald Trump, literally, you heard it from the horse's mouth. He's telling you Bernie Sanders is better than me on trade. So he wouldn't have been able to attack him. And he's clearly worried about Bernie Sanders. Just as a VP pick. Never mind if he was actually the nominee, right? So we know that Donald Trump is scared of Bernie Sanders. And he acts like, oh yeah, I would have really liked to run against Bernie Sanders. And, you know, he always concerned trolls and talks about how the Democratic Party is screwing Bernie Sanders out of the nomination, which is true. But I think there's some reverse psychology going on there, maybe. I don't know what's up, man. I don't know. I also heard some funny theories from you guys in the comments that, you know, Donald Trump really wants to stop being president. He just doesn't want to be president anymore, but he wants to lose against someone like Bernie. He doesn't want to go out in a bad way because of his ego. That's an interesting one. But clearly, all the signs show us that running a centrist does not work. If Joe Biden is the nominee, Donald Trump is going to clobber him over and over and over again. And I mean, yes, it's going to be very funny to watch, no doubt. But come on, man. Like, people, their lives depend on having healthcare, on having a good wage, on climate change, on all these progressive policies. Like, we really need Bernie Sanders. Yes, it's funny to watch him make fun of Joe Biden, but at the end of the day, people need change. Like, their lives really depend on it. So the only way you're going to get that is if you run Bernie Sanders. End of story.